Hey, what's up, boys? This is Contango coming at you from Waterloo, Ontario, Canada. And today we are doing a video about some rule changes for G40 Alt Universe. Made some rule changes relatively recently, so I just want to go over those a little bit. Before we do that, just want to say sorry for being gone for so long. Hope to get a few more videos out in the next little while now that things are uh, summer's done and things are back to normal a little bit. We'll see. No promises, but that's kind of my goal anyway. And so before we get into talking about the rule changes, I've just got some visuals on the board here to remind me what I want to talk about. But before we do that, I just wanted to talk about some possible future things coming up and see what your interest level is in each of those. So first kind of, I guess, possible future plan is I want to redo or do some strategy videos. I did some strategy videos before, not for all the nations, but for some of them. I think that I might want to redo some of them. Well, do the ones that I haven't done at all yet, and then possibly redo some of the ones that I did do. So let me know if you're interested in that. Secondly, if you're familiar with my rule book, I think it's fine in terms of writing. It's not very visually enticing, so I kind of want to class that up a little bit. So that's kind of on my to-do list. It's not that long of a rule book. It's only 7 pages because the rules are based on the 1940 global base rules, so the out-of-box rules. And a lot of the space is just taken up by national objectives and things like that. So there's not that much to it, but I do want to make it look a little better. So let me know if that is something that appeals to you. One other thing I was thinking about doing that I never really got around to is some commentary on other people's games of G40 Alt Universe. So if that interests you, let me know. It would just be me kind of going through the game and commentating a little bit, telling you what I see strategy-wise, what happened, and maybe things I might have done differently or noticed happened that I might, what my thoughts are on the strategy that happened in the game, and that kind of thing. And lastly, I'm thinking about doing a giveaway of another map. Right now, I've just got my one that's on PVC plastic, but I'm thinking about getting one or two more that are on the vinyl that can be rolled up and mailed. And so this, if I do this giveaway, it would be for if somebody can play me, Contango, and beat me over that would be over AAA. So if you can play me and beat me, then I would send you this map. So it would be one person at a time. I guess I'd have to do some sort of a random draw, and the purpose would be just for the fun of it, but also just as a test of the balance of the game as it is now. And you could pick either side, whichever side you think is favored, and try to beat me at it. And if you can, then I'd send you the map. So, and that would, I guess, go on for as long as until I get beaten for the first time. So, because as far as I can remember, I don't think anybody has beaten me at this game yet. Obviously, I made it, so I'm pretty familiar. But I don't think anybody's beaten me. Maybe I have been. I'm not sure. I don't remember it. Anyways, so let me know if that interests you. Any of those 4 things I talked about, but especially the kind of giveaway. If that would be something you'd want to be entered in for to actually play me over AAA. I should say I'm not the fastest player on AAA, so it would just be kind of like a play by email game. So that's what's coming up in the future. Some of those things maybe we'll see. So onward to the rule changes. So I want to talk about the goals for the changes that were made. My purpose was always to keep the rules as simple as possible, as close to the G40 out-of-box rules. I wanted this to be mainly about the different map. So you're playing G40, but it's just a different alternate universe. So the fun is, figuring out how to best play on this map, because as we all know, the G40 map has been played a lot, and it's got kind of some strategies that are used over and over again. So this is kind of the back to the original days of, trying to figure out the first time what should I do, what's good to do, you know, thinking that out on a new map is was kind of the goal. So we wanted to keep the rules as close to possible, or as close to the original as possible. So that's one of my, I guess, goals. The other kind of goal was for this game, I wanted to have kind of three general strategies for the Axis. And out of box, there's kind of, you go for the Sea Lion or you go for Barbarossa. You're going for the UK first or you're going for Russia first, at least from Germany's perspective. And so I wanted to have in this game sort of three possibilities. One being going for Russia and China first as the Axis, another one being, going after the UK first, and the third one being going after France first. So I wanted to try to maintain that ability to segment the game in three general ways. What else did I want to do? Well, I wanted to keep some disincentive to attacking neutrals. That being the independent neutrals, like the yellow ones, and then the strict neutrals, or I call them the neutral league, the purple sort of color ones. So there's got to be some sort of disincentive, from doing that. There's got to be a cost. And part of what was happening before with the French escalation was to, disincentivize going after those to some degree. You should be able to do it in certain circumstances, but there's got to be a cost. And so I wanted to maintain that. And lastly is just the balance of the game. You want there to be as close to a 50-50 win rate as you can get without, needing a bid or things like that. Obviously, it's never going to be perfect, but that was kind of another goal. So with all that in mind, I made some changes to the rules, two major ones, and well, I guess one major one and one minor one. So let's talk about that. So the first one here, you'll see a bunch of bombers laid out, and so in the prior rules for G40 Alt Universe, bombers, they had no defense value. So basically they defended like transports. And part of the original idea behind that was there's some certain circumstances where bombers you can spam them out and fly them in to try to save certain things, mainly this city in UK4, affectionately called London by most people. And by the way, I did create another version of the map where these cities are named. I haven't gotten one printed yet, but that's on my to-do list. So on that, I did call it London. Anyway, so there's, up here, you can fly bombers in as defensive units, which is kind of weird, but it can be done to save that. Down here, F-13, also the Anzac City over here. At least, so in my mind, I was trying to avoid that happening, and thought it was necessary to make them have no defense value, but it really hasn't worked out that way in a lot of the games. Nobody's really done that, and so I didn't think that was really worth it to make that change. And like I said, we want to keep it as close to the original rules as possible. So we are scrapping that rule and get rid of it. Let's go back to the basics. And so bombers they're normal now. They're back to G40 rules. So that's the one minor rule change. The big change though is with France. And if you're familiar with this game, the rules that I had involved complicated escalation of French diplomacy sort of thing. So as the independent neutrals would get attacked, France would escalate in how much, I'm even forgetting now what exactly it was, but how much money they would get. They at some point would allow Allied units to move through their territories even when they weren't at war, and then eventually they would come into the war. And so the downside with it was very complicated. Took a whole page to kind of explain. And what ended up happening mostly is either you go after France on the first turn, as Germany and Japan, and then those rules basically get ignored. Or as Germany and Japan, you just decide that you're never going against France, and those rules get ignored. So you would just want to not attack enough independent, neutral territories to bring France into the war. So basically, it was France is either in on the first turn or not in at all, and they would just be leaved indefinitely neutral. So wanted to get France into the war a bit more, and not have them being ignored and be a bit more of a player, but still maintain the ability to ignore them for a while, like to have them be a long-term neutral. So we've scrapped the escalation rules, and what we have now is so the first thing is France can declare war on turn 12. So that's what these dice are here for. 12 pips showing. So on turn 12, France is going to be able to declare war. I know some of you are thinking that's a long time, and it is a long time, and that was partly the point. Like I said, we want to keep France as we want to keep the option that Germany and Japan can ignore France for at least a significant part of the game and focus on the others, but they will come in eventually. So turn 12, that's the timing. France has their income lowered. Like as you can see on this board, there's a lot of French territories. They do get a lot of money once they're at war. So their starting income when they're neutral is lowered down to 6. It's very low, but part of the reason for that is to keep them in a semi-vulnerable state so that they don't just stack up mounds of infantry. And then on turn 12, it basically becomes just a victory timer for the Allies. So they are going to come in on turn 12, but we don't want them to be so overpowered that they basically end the game when they do come in. So that's what's going on with France's income. The disincentive for attacking the independent neutrals, the yellow ones, is there's now a national objective for the UK and for France if they get attacked. So 2 IPCs each to France and the UK if the Axis attack one of these. France is going to get theirs either way. The UK is only going to get theirs if the Allies haven't been attacking independent neutrals. Yeah, so some national objectives. What else? Okay, so the strict neutrals, the kind of sort of purple-colored ones. If those get attacked, France is not going to join the war immediately. That's what happened with the escalation rules. But instead, they will be able to join the war in 3 turns from when that happens. That is, if they're going to be able to join on turn 12 in any case. But if, let's say, the Axis decide to attack the strict neutrals on turn 3, then France can come in on turn 6, and also they're going to get their full income right away. So, and then lastly, in the old rules, if this UK 19 territory got attacked by the Axis, France could join the war. So essentially this territory was never getting attacked unless they were going after France anyways, like on the first turn. So we scrapped that, and now the Axis can attack that territory and it doesn't bring France into the war. So there you have it. I think that was 6 things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Okay. So that's the rule changes. So that kind of to go back to our goals, we're simplifying the rules, which is great. That was the whole purpose. We've turned the bombers back to normal, and we've gotten rid of that whole escalation thing, and getting France into the war eventually. So kept the rules, or made the rules more simple. Kept kind of the 3 options in the game. Russia, China first, UK first, France first. So we've satisfied that. Still a disincentive to attacking the neutrals, and it keeps the game relatively balanced. I mean, it's not exactly the same as before, because before you could effectively just ignore France forever, but now you can't. And on turn 12, that's going to be a big deal because France does get a lot of income once they're at war. And also this little strait here in this game, that's passable by land. So once France is in the war, if the UK has, their territories up here and their factories, they can then cross land units directly into what you might call Europe. So it is a big deal, and so you'd say the changes would favor the Allies. Um, Now, before making these changes, I did consider the Axis favored. So the question is, where are we at now? If the Axis were favored, but we just made a change that helps the Allies, where do we land? So that kind of remains to be seen. I think it's still relatively close. Um, I've got some guys playing a game right now, and I think they gave a bid to the Axis of something like 7 IPCs. So a 7 IPC bid is nothing compared to out of box. But anyway, that's kind of where we are. If we are going to make balance changes, it'll be in the starting setup. I don't think I want to make other rule changes to try to balance it at this point. So ideally, these are going to be the last rule changes. Hopefully, we're down to just maybe some changes to the opening setup, and that's it. So if you want to play this, it is available on AAA. I made these rule changes already. So if you go and download G40 Alt Universe on AAA, if you don't have it already, if you do have it already, you'll have to delete it and reinstall it and get the new copy. But so the copy that's there now comes with 2 versions. One is the regular version that had the old escalation rules. I wanted to keep that on there in case people were finishing games. And then it also has the new version without the escalation, the France escalation rules. And so you can play both on there. If you're interested in getting this map, let me know. I will send you it to have it printed off at a print shop if that's what you want to do. And I did do a couple of videos about that in the past. Yeah, so I think that's everything I wanted to go over. So thanks for watching. Like I said earlier, I have those kind of potential things I want to do in the future. If any or all of those interest you, please let me know in the comments what you think my priority should be, what would be most interesting to you. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.